Keller Williams, Arizona Realty, Ignite session number 1, Ignite Orientation with Jacqie Vyskocil.
We're just kind of going over what virtual Ignite is going to look like. So bear with me a little bit because I know I got a couple of logistics for you. That's kind of part of day one of any Ignite. So we're going to just talk about that, and then we're going to go into some whys and some talking about how we're going to script practice and basically what it's going to look like virtually moving forward. So I want you guys to know basically our training, you'll note on the calendar that you'll see some days go until 10:15 and some days go until 11 o'clock. So the days that go till 10:15, every day between 8:30 and 9:30, that's when you're going to get your instruction and training from one of our awesome agents that are on the lineup. So 8:30 and 9:30 is the training piece. From 9:30 to 10:15, that's where we're gonna talk a little bit. I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna talk a little bit about some command instructions, some tech pieces with that. We really restructured this one, if you were in the last one, to have certain command topics to go throughout the next 20 days. So that's gonna be a little piece in command training. I'm also really super excited. If you guys didn't see on the schedule, Casey is teaching the marketing session, and it's going to be like all command. We're super excited about that one. So that was a really big change that we made. So 9:30 to 10:15, we've got command, and then we're also going to do objection handlers. So because we thought normally in Ignite, we're all together, we're in person, and we break out and we partner up and we script practice. So what we're going to do for our script practice live on Zoom is I'm going to put up an objection, and we're going to talk about how to handle that objection and hearing opinions, and you guys actually going through and jumping in and sharing how you would respond to that. So we're going to talk about the strategy of how to go about handling an objection and then actually practice it as a group. And part of your afternoon then will be actually reaching out to a script partner to practice some of the scripts that are in our script book. So again, that'll be from 9:30 to 10:15. We'll talk about our success list. So after the call ends, what does the rest of your day look like? We'll talk about that this first week, and then we'll kind of just touch base on it moving forward, because it's going to be very similar going through your whole 20 days. And then the days that go to 11 o'clock, starting at 10 o'clock, Kate is going to join us. And Kate's going to talk from 10 to 11 on contracts. So we really broke it down based on what I find and she finds that we get the most questions about. So the structure it includes rentals. It includes how to do the ER for when you have a listing, purchase contracts. It includes counteroffers and addenda. We really put a lot of thought into making some changes in order to benefit you guys. So that's the difference between the days that go to 10:15 and the days to go to 11. So just wanted to give you an update on that. I am going to share my screen here and kind of go into the slides so that you can see. So just bear with me for a second. All right. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank you. So I need is just, I appreciate it. Just one person, because sometimes it's hard to see. All right. So I am going to jump in here once it loads. I got to get myself to our, oh no. Sorry. Just got to get adjusted to doing this on the virtual screen. Okay. So this, for those of you that know me, you might know that this is one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about. And we touched a little bit on why you guys got into real estate. And now I really want to take a few minutes to talk about your big why. So if you've read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, if you've read The One Thing by Gary Keller with Jay Papasan, you know that Gary Keller really focuses in on what is your why, right? And we talk about what is it that you want to do, why do you want to do it, where do you see yourself in the future, and what is going to make you get up every day and grind in your business to get the success that you want? What's going to force you to do some of the things that you don't like to do? And is your why big enough? So I think this is an even more interesting question for us to ask ourselves even now. In this last month, we've had some time, extra time to reflect, right? And the neat thing about it is I've had people reach out to me and kind of talk like, hey, what do you think this is my big why? Do you think as you're sitting and evolving, your big why can change? And I think that's really important for us to acknowledge and understand. When I got into real estate, and I'm just going to do this so I can kind of see everybody, but when I got into real estate and they asked me this question, right? I go into Ignite day one, they're like, what's your why? And I kind of was like, oh gosh, like I don't really know if I have an answer right now. And at the beginning of my real estate career, my why was to be financially secure and debt free. And as I evolved, right, I was working with a coach and they're like, is that really your why? Because what happens when you are debt free, or what happens when you can pay for everything? Then what? And it was kind of these questions of then what? What do you like to do? That really led me to what my why is today. And my why is to live a life coming from contribution. And the reason that's my why is because I know that can reach so many things, right? I can live a life coming from contribution in small ways and in big ways. And it can involve money or it might not involve money. And thinking about how will I know? And I think this is another really big question when we start talking about this together in a few minutes about your big why. How are you going to know that you're living it or that you've done it? So those of you that are in coaching, you guys know that for me this year, to live a life coming from contribution, I'll know I'll have met my goal if at the end of the year I can fly back to Chicago and pay for my family's Christmas Eve dinner, because that's something super traditional and important to us. How will I know the following year? The following year I'll know when I can pay for the honeymoon for Mark and I with my own money because I want to, because he's helped provide for me. So kind of thinking about these, how will I know by the end of this month? I'll know by the end of this month that I came from contribution by providing an Ignite program where people felt they got value from, right? So really kind of taking it and breaking it down to make sure that I know every morning when I get up, there are certain parts of the things that we all do in our business that we might not like, but what's going to keep me doing those things is this bigger goal and this bigger reason why. So I'd love to take a few minutes to hear you guys of who has the big why, or maybe how has your big why possibly shifted if you've done this exercise before. I'd love to just hear a few people or anyone that wants to kind of share out about this. And I know it's different because we're not in person, but I'm going to do a really good job on my wait time to hear some people jump in.
There, I unmuted.
Okay, let's hear about it, Victoria.
Well, my big why is always the kids. So to be able to provide for them, college, wherever they want to go. And I've got a ways to do it, but, to provide, they want to go to Disneyland if it ever opens up again, that's my short-term big why. And then, as they grow, to provide the things that they want and need. Not everything they want, obviously. But.
No. And I love how like Disneyland is that short-term kind of check-in piece. And I think I was sitting at a Bold a couple years ago, and a mom had kind of gotten up and spoke and had said something similar, like, here's what my kids we're working for. And the coach had said, so how would it feel if at the end of the day they said, Mom, did you make your 10, 20 calls today to get us closer to Disneyland? And you answered no. Or do you get to answer yes at the end of the day, and they get to check off we're one day closer to reaching our goal as a family? And that stuck with me. And I think it's so important to include as many people as you can to help support, especially even more doubling down on our support right now. And I love that. And thank you for sharing. Who else wants to share? Eric, it looks like you're sharing, but I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
But I think your first goal was financial security, and I think that's probably important to everyone. It's you know, taking care of the day-to-day things. But I have, you know, there are a bunch of people and pets in my life, and I want to be able to provide for them and make sure they have all of their needs filled, that they're leading the best life they can. But I think on another level, though, I think what I want to expand, basically, I want to be more and do more than I'm doing currently. And I think that's something that's going to keep on going. And a year from now, I'm going to want that, 2 years, 10 years. So it's an ongoing process. But we're talking about identifying goals. What are my day-to-day goals that can get me there? And that's something for consideration. I'm not sure I'm there on the goal end yet.
Yeah. No, that's okay. And I appreciate that honesty. And that's one of the goals of Ignite, is to really talk about, you know, success tips and setting up the day to create habits that are going to help you set that day-to-day calendar up for success. So I appreciate that. Let's hear one more person.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
So I'm sure you guys remember, but I started it to have a career and a space for myself. That's my everyday goal, to do something for myself, contribute in whatever way I can to my family's resources. But in the long run, I do want to leave behind something that would be called mine, like a legacy for my kids, like a portfolio maybe. I don't know what to call it, but something that would be mine that I can leave for them.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to take a second to share one of the quotes from Henry Ford that you guys probably have heard before. His famous quote when he had stated, "If you think you can do a thing, or you think you can't do a thing, you're right." So a lot of Ignite is going to focus on some mindset at the beginning of some of our sessions. And we really want to think about that as we're going through. And a question that I have for you guys is about limiting beliefs. First of all, what does that mean? What is a limiting belief?
Am I the only one unmuting?
I appreciate it. Please.
To me, it's the negativity, the negative little thoughts that we have that, you know, we can't do something, or, you know, yeah, that limit us in what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're going to talk about those throughout Ignite. And the goal is for us throughout Ignite to look for ways that we're limiting our own success and to remove the barriers that we're putting in our own way. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we've got to connect so much to our big why, because we're human, right? And limiting beliefs, they're gonna pop in. And it's going to be our mindset and how we handle them and how we handle that voice to overcome those limiting beliefs and power through and remember our big why that's going to help us be successful. So that's going to be something that you'll kind of hear us touch on. A lot of the agents that join in, you're going to hear them touch on that too. So really take some time today. And if you're unsure, really think about your why and your purpose, and how do you know that you're achieving that? Okay, so I'm jumping back and forth sharing the screen. I just like stopping the share so I can see everybody in one slide. So you're going to see this slide every day. And those of you that have taken Ignite before, you know that we talk about what successful agents do every day. And the most important thing is success is not a secret. And that's one of the great things that I love about just Keller Williams in general, all the sharing that goes on. There are plenty of people, buyers, sellers, investors in the world. It's up to us to support each other to talk about what successful agents do every day. So before we kind of go through this list, there are 5 things that Gary Keller says that we should time block on our schedule every day. Some of them are very clear on the slide. Some may not be so clear. Do you guys know what the 5 things are? If you listen to David's time blocking class about a month ago, it came up. Or just take a stab. Gary Keller says there are 5 things that are your big rocks in real estate that you should time block for on your calendar. Any thoughts?
Lead generation.
Yes, lead generation is one.
Scripting.
Wow. Say that again, sorry.
Remembering your script.
Yes, thank you. Script practice and role play. That's another thing.
Isn't one of them going on appointments?
You got it, Eric. Going on appointments. We got 2 more.
The thing that stuck with me was the allowing yourself that extra leeway at the end of the week to make up everything.
Yes, and I 100% agree that we need to do that. That was David Moore's suggestion, which I think we should do, but that wasn't one of Gary Keller's top 5.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with that. Let's try again. So the other 2 that Gary talks about are lead follow-up and negotiating deals. If you're in the middle of a deal, you're negotiating your transaction. So Gary's 5 to time block for: lead generation, lead follow-up, script and role play practice, go on appointments, and negotiate deals. So you're going to see that Ignite is set up to make those things happen. So we're either as successful agents, we're growing our business, or we're running our business. We're in our business, or we're working on our business. So we're growing by lead generating, by making seller and buyer presentations and getting those clients going on appointments. So 1, 2, and 3 are your lead generation and go on appointments. In Ignite, we're going to talk about how previewing real estate might look differently until we can get in homes a little bit more new normal, right? So we'll talk about that towards the end. And then we're talking about running your business, working on your business, marketing the listings, which Casey's going to cover, showing buyers houses, and how that looks differently right now. Negotiating contracts, that's one of Gary's top 5. Transaction management to closing. So what are your systems that are keeping you from keeping the transaction in order and moving smoothly? Vendor management. So how are you communicating with your lender and your title company and the inspector and all the people that really make a part our team to make this go smoothly? Setting goals. Rich Barker is actually going to do that session all about goal setting. I'm super excited to hear him talk about it. Compliance and risk management. Kate will be jumping in with contract stuff. Attending training and getting coaching, something that you guys are already doing by showing up here today, and managing money. So those are all things that successful agents do to run their business. The top 5 that we'll talk about that have to be on that success list: lead generation, lead follow-up, script and role play practice, negotiate deals, and go on appointments. And that is our goal of Ignite, even virtual version, is to get you an appointment. Okay, so today's schedule, We talked a little bit more about what is Spark. We're going to talk about our sphere, the tools that are available to you. And I want to make sure that you guys all have access to the online materials. So I'll make sure that we know that by the end of time today, and I'll be able to re-email anything out to you guys. How we're going to prepare for success, some recaps and ahas from each session just to help us reflect and grow together, and then talking about our daily success habits. So let's just take a minute to look at this quote, and then we're going to have a conversation about it. Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have, by our very own Gary Keller. So let's talk about that. Let me read it one more time. Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So what do you hear from that quote?
Well, for me, the number of leads is the number of opportunities. The more leads you have, the more opportunities you have, and the whole business works off of that.
Yeah. Love it. Anyone else have something to add?
I do. I've been at this about 10, 12 years now, some of it in residential, but mostly commercial. And what I've seen, even though I'm not good at it, because it's one of my big fears, is the people that make the most phone calls make the most money. And lead generation is not always easy, but I was fortunate to have been with Mark Similchap, and some of the people, it's funny, the ones that are in the big offices that are making $2 to $3 to $5 million a year are making 100 phone calls a day. And they track them, they come back and they tell everybody, and the people that make the phone calls make the money. And so if you're brand new down there, you start and you make 50 to 75 a day. Ultimately, you get very good at it. You're better with your scripts. You're better with closing, all those types of things, and do the things you'll talk about. But in the end, the ones that are now making, literally some of these guys were making 85 contracts a year and making $12 million in their pocket. And I will tell you that they were doing the most phone calls, but by the time they got to where they were, the phone calls were people calling them, and they were doing deals, not out lead projecting. So it really is, and I'm not great at it, I'm awful at it, but I can tell you that making phone calls and getting over that fear, which is the biggest fear all of us have, is the biggest way to make a fortune in this business.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that, and your vulnerability with that too. And I think most of us on this, at least in this session, can agree about that whole phone call fear and limiting belief. And so let's talk about that a little bit. What is our limiting belief, or what are our limiting beliefs about making phone calls? I'll start. I'll start with, I don't think the other person on the other end of the line is going to be interested all the time.
Yeah. You assume that a person you're talking to, they're going to have the worst possible reaction when you call them. And the reaction, that doesn't really happen in real life. Somebody might hang up on you, or they might not be interested. But, the worst reaction your mind could come up with, it never happens anyway. So maybe it's a kind of an irrational fear.
Yeah. I love it. What else?
I say something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like a fear about the people you talk to, they gonna object you for a lot of reasons, and you trying to kind of pumping information to their head. You just don't know what do they think.
And I love what you said there, Dan, about they may object what you say. Mm-hmm. And Keith had mentioned it when he was speaking, the value of really practicing our scripts, and why I'm super excited to bring objections into this round of Ignite and really dive in on them together. Because I think, especially as a newer agent too, I was kind of like, well, I don't know enough yet to answer. What if they say this and I don't know what to say back? And I think the way that we can overcome that is by practicing And then if we still don't know, being honest, hey, that's a great question. You know what? Let me check it over with my team. Let me grab your phone number. I'll get back to you, and I'm happy to, to deliver that information later this afternoon. So there's always a way we can get ourselves out of it if we just give ourselves that permission to. So we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit more. I want to show you our little diagram here about spark in elementals. So you're going to see the first couple weeks, we're going to be in this little spiral here called spark. And in spark, we're really going to focus in on the whys and the hows of lead generation. So I know later this week on Wednesday, Joe Quattrucci is going to come on and talk about lead generation, and Don is going to come in and talk about scripts, and then Brandon's going to come in and talk about lead follow-up in command. Any of you that have ever had contact with Brandon Cohen know that he is like the master of follow-up. So we're going to talk about that in the initial 2 weeks of Spark. And we're going to always go down here. We're always going to talk about our daily success habits. And then we're going to get into the next 2 weeks of elementals, talking about how our agents actually go on the seller and buyer appointments, how they host open houses, how they work their finances. And we're really going to dive in to all of these things. And I want to share something with you. So I want you to do me a favor, and I'm going to read this because I don't want to mess up the statistic. You're going to need your cell phones in a minute. So according to NAR, 66% of sellers and 41% of buyers find an agent through a friend. I'm going to read that one more time. According to NAR, 66% of sellers and 41% of buyers find an agent through a friend. So I want you to take your cell phones for me. And gosh, I do hope this works with all kinds of cell phones. I want you to go to your contact section in your phone. And if you have an iPhone, I know this will work. If you're in your contacts, I want you to scroll all the way down to the very end of your contact list. And there should be a number there. It should be a total number telling you how many contacts you have in your phone. So I'll share mine, and then I'd love to hear that number from you guys. My number is 1,286 contacts.
Wow.
Who else can speak out and share? Ambika, I saw you come off mute. How many do you have?
749.
Okay. Keith, how about you?
5,700.
Who else?
I have 287.
Okay.
I have 189.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to take that number, okay? You're going to multiply it by 6%. So 9.06. Multiply it by 6%. Victoria, sorry, I muted you for just a minute because we're hearing we're hearing the awesome lesson. So you're taking your number of contacts, multiplying it by 6%. That number gives you the average number of real estate actions that will be happening in the next 12 months within your sphere of influence. Okay, so let's share that number for a minute and then don't delete it. So you took your number of contacts, multiplied them by 6%. In the next 12 months, that number shows you how many real estate actions will be happening with your sphere of influence. I got it. Keith, who said 43?
Me, I did.
Okay, Ambika.
Yeah.
Keith, we've got to know your answer. What? Oh, hold on. We gotta unmute you, Keith.
Probably over 300.
Okay. Who else did it?
I have 11.
Okay.
I got 12.
Mine's 94.
How many, Nancy?
94.
Great. Okay, here's what I want you to do now. This is based roughly, you guys, off of a $250,000 sale at 3% commission. Okay, I want you to take that number and multiply it by $7,500. $7,500 would be your gross commission income on a $250,000 sale at 3%. So take that number, multiply it by 7,500. Look at that number, and that number in GCI, in gross commission, okay, so not taking out for your taxes, but that number is the amount of money that is sitting right here in your phone. How does that make you feel?
Well,
Very
it
good.
makes me feel like there's a bunch of people in Washington that are going to make a lot of money because most of my contacts are in Washington.
Okay. However, that's going to be a good, maybe that's one of your activities that you're going to focus on as one part of your lead gen, building that referral business. What else? Does anyone else have a thought after seeing that number?
I need to call more people.
I love it. And I appreciate the honesty. When I looked at my number, it was over $500,000.
Yeah. So mine is a third, but yeah.
Yeah.
I need to start making, I need to start making phone calls.
I mean, that's the reality, right? Like it's literally in our hands. We've got it. We've got it. So let me pull this part back up. I appreciate you guys letting me jump back and forth from slide to slide. It's just helpful to stop and see your faces. So with that being said, we're gonna start with your sphere, okay? And the sphere, those are your people that you've already earned the right to have a two-way conversation with, right? Those are the people that you've met. Those are your friends and your family, and they're willing, right? They're willing to help you, and you're just like you're willing to help them. And immediately when I say, think about calling your sphere and your friends and your family, I want you to be really honest with me right now. There's gonna be different feelings in this group. Anyone have any limiting beliefs about that? About calling your sphere? Calling the people you already know.
Okay, I'll give you mine. Everybody's in Washington. I already said it.
Yeah.
That's my big thing. But yeah, I've been in contact with a bunch of agents up there, so we'll see.
Okay. Okay. Who else? All right. I'm going to give you one of mine. So when I first started in real estate, I was the person that said, I'd rather talk to a stranger because I don't want to call my friends and family and ask them for something. I don't want them to think that I'm coming to them to always talk about real estate. Anyone else ever been there?
Yes, I know some. I just met some people, and then they always said, "I'd rather not mess up with, a friendship with business, and they rather to go to strangers for transactions or real estate need."
Okay. How did you feel about that, Dan? Did you have a response to that?
I felt a little strange, but I try to convince them too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my problem is I don't have a lot of needs here. I don't know a lot of people. Like I said, I have a 200 some contacts, but they all from China.
Okay. Okay. So that's a really, I'm so happy that you brought that up and really talking about how Ignite's going to help you find a database here in Arizona, while still being able to connect and use those, your friends and family from China, because KW is international, as you know. So I think there's going to be a little point that we still want to keep in touch with that sphere for referrals, and then really using what we're going to learn in the upcoming weeks of how do you find new people to get into your database.
Okay.
And I definitely am confident that we're going to cover that through Ignite. So let me ask you guys, would you prefer to do business with somebody that you already know and trust, or someone's referred you to because they know and trust them, or would you rather do business with a complete stranger? And that's what I want you to think about when you're making those calls. right? And I think that the big thing is you're like, well, what if I haven't spoken to somebody in 5 months, a year? I'm not telling you to pick up the phone and say, hey, Keith, it's Jacqie over at Keller Williams, Arizona Realty. Do you know of anybody looking to buy, rent, or sell right now in real estate? I'm not asking you to pick up the phone and say that right away, right? I'm asking you to call and connect with them and have a conversation with them, because we don't want them to be the friend. We don't want to be the friend that only calls when we need something, right? We don't want to be that person. We want to have such a good constant communication base with our sphere that they are just, every time the phone rings or they see a text message from you, they're going to pick it up or they're going to answer because they're just so excited to hear from you. And they don't know what you're going to say. They don't know if you're going to talk business or talk personal. Congratulate them, ask them how they're doing, because we're going to do such a good job setting up our systems that we're in constant communication with them. So we never have to feel like we're the person that's calling because we're asking for something. And then in the same turn of that, allowing ourselves to recognize that it's okay to ask for a referral or to ask them to keep you in mind, right? Or to ask them, hey, when you hear of somebody that's looking to buy or sell, I would love if you would share my information or if you'd reach out to me so that I could help your friend. Because if someone were to call you, right? If your friend or family member were to call you and ask you for help, would you give them help? Would you do whatever you could to help somebody start their new business or to share their information or pass it along? And the reality is, I know most of you, and I know the answer is yes, because you have good hearts and you're willing. We're in this business, many of us, to help people, and it's in our nature to do that. So I want you to think about that when that comes up. And also, just another beauty about that is it doesn't cost you money to call your sphere or to reach out to them, right? We don't have to pay for numbers to get, because we already know these people. They're in our phone. And with that being said, about staying in touch, this little graph here kind of shows the likelihood of a move, and it goes in waves, right? The research shows the average person moves every 8 to 10 years. So I want you to take a minute just to think, and I want you to think of at least 5 to 7 people. The bottom of the curve is maybe like they literally just moved in somewhere. This is year 0. They are not looking to move for another 8 to 10 years. And then as we go up, right, we're kind of going 2, 3, 4, oh, now we're hitting our years 8, 9, and we're thinking about selling or moving. So, and then, okay, now we've moved in, we're going back down. So I want you to think for a minute. Think of about 5 to 7 people that are in your sphere and place them somewhere on that, mentally or on paper. Just going to give you a minute to think. Think about who's recently moved, who might be looking to move, somebody in the middle. Think about big things that you might have noticed happening in their lives on social media. Maybe somebody had another baby. They're going to be needing some more room. Maybe you know some renters that might be ready to think about buying. Maybe some kids have grown up and moved out of the house and people are looking to downsize. So I'm curious, were you guys able to come up with some people that you could put somewhere on that wave? Whether it be they just moved or they haven't, did it make you think about some of the people in your sphere? And really think about this, and pardon me because I'm going to read this because I just feel like it's super valuable. If you want to stay at the top of mind for your people in your sphere as their realtor, you want to make sure that you're their first call when they go to buy or sell, right? So that person that you just put at 0, like they're at 0 year, like they still got 8 to 10 years before they move. If you don't call them until 8 years from now because you're like, oh yeah, they're ready, they're on the way, right? If you don't call them until 8 years from now, the likelihood of them using you and the likelihood of them thinking, oh gosh, that's the guy that calls whenever he wants something is high. However, if we work out a plan now to consistently be in the top of their mind, they're not only going to think of you when they're ready in 8 years, along this process, anyone that they come across, you're going to be the realtor that they refer their friends and family to. And that's part of what we're going to talk about in Ignite through setting up smart plans on command to remind you when it's time to call, text, or email people in your database. We're going to talk about what it looks like in social media and how you can stay at top of mind just by providing good content on your social media pages. Okay, so really, really kind of dig deep into all of that when you're thinking. All right, going to talk a little bit now about what do you do when you call your sphere? What do you talk about? If I'm not just going to come on out and say, hey, do you know of anybody looking to buy, rent, or sell? We're going to use the Ford method. And what I love about this shift in mindset with, you know, kind of with Keller Williams, with the company as a whole, right? We're looking to make connections. Not just another check off the box that I made a phone call. We're really looking to build relationships by making connections with people that we talk to. And one of the best ways to do this is by using the Ford method. So in reality, is it a script? Kind of, but it's a natural flow of conversation by remembering these things. So Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you're calling up somebody from your phone, you know, and I honestly, like, I'll use social media first to kind of check in to see if there's something I can bring up. When you're calling somebody, hey, how's the family doing? I know so-and-so, oh, it's so sad, isn't it? You know, so-and-so's a senior this year. How's she doing? What are they doing for prom? How's the school situation going? Is there anything I can do to help? Or what's going on with your job? How's that looking? How's working from home? I know, right? It's pretty, it's a little different these days, isn't it? And really having that conversation with them, more often than not, you guys, it's going to turn back around to, hey, and how's work going for you? Actually, it's going really great. I just started up with Keller Williams, Arizona Realty in Scottsdale, and I'm absolutely loving it. Just looking, you know, to continue to work with as many buyers and sellers as I can. I want to help a lot of families this year. Do you happen to know of anybody that I could help? No? Okay. All right. Well, great. You know, just keep me in mind if you come across somebody, and, you know, be sure to reach out to me. In the meantime, what is summer shaping up to look like for you? Right? Like, really make that connection, have those conversations. Mondays are like the easiest days to make those phone calls because the first question out of your mouth can be, I totally just read your lips, and you're right, Eric. Unmute yourself.
How was your weekend?
Yes, the easiest question in the book, right? Hey, how are you? How was your weekend? Friday, how's it going? What are your plans for the weekend? So sometimes you got holidays coming up, right? When you have that coming up, don't overthink it, right? It kind of goes back to that whole, like, and I don't say this to be rude, but that whole, like, keep it simple, right? The KISS method, keep it simple. And by doing that and building your relationship, they're going to answer the phone when you call. They want to know what you have to say, right? They want to hear, they want to answer. People love talking about themselves. They want to share with you. And that's the mindset that we have to get in. They're going to answer the phone. They want to take my call. They want to hear from me, right? Right? Even if you have to write that down right in front of you and really think about that. So as we're lead generating in Ignite, the goal here is to be lead generating by calling our sphere, calling the people that we know. So this little graphic here, we're going to kind of get into the tools just a little bit. And this is given to us from KW, from Keller Williams Technology, this graphic. And I am going to read this so I don't mess their vision up. But the vision of Keller Williams is to be the real estate company of choice for agents and their customers. And one of the ways that Keller Williams is doing that is by making everything easier for both you as an agent and for your clients too. And the two main streams that we're using is the KW Consumer app and KW Command. Both of those tools are going to be talked about throughout Ignite in different aspects. But what they're trying to show here is they're trying to show like this whole cloud concept. So can you guys, do you guys already use a cloud product in your daily life that you can think of? Eric, unmute yourself. You're giving all these great answers.
I think I have a couple of iCloud storage things like OneDrive, and I think I do have iCloud, but a lot of my stuff it's automatically backed up.
Great, great. And the whole purpose of the cloud is to make this like this one-stop shop for everybody to go. So you can kind of see, we've got our Keller cloud with Kelly, right? Who we've kind of taken a little bit of a back seat, those of us who's downloaded Kelly, to the new KW Consumer app and the website and Command. And then really thinking outside of those circles to Keller Mortgage, Keller Covered, Keller Offers, Keller Managed. So some of that being on the leadership side of the Market Center. That's what Command MC is, Command Market Center. Okay. So let's go into Command a little bit. Today, even if you've already seen it, I'm not gonna bore you to tears, but I am gonna just review a little bit about the database and quickly talk about how to add a contact into your database and go over the little applets that are on the left-hand side of the screen. So like I said, as we dive deeper into our training these next 20 days, the content and Command will get more detailed in terms of how do we write a smart plan, what smart plans are available to us, designs, Facebook ads, campaigns, opportunities, etc. But today we're gonna start just by talking about that main page. So I'm actually gonna go into my Command. Oops, I gotta switch out of this. 1 second. Let's see. So before I jump in, how many of you guys, let's just kind of go around the room is what I wanted to say. Go around the Zoom room and tell me how comfortable, and it's okay to be totally honest, there is no judgment. This is gonna help me kind of help us throughout the rest of Ignite. Tell me how you're using Command, how comfortable you are, and how comfortable you are with it. So James, can I start with you? How are you using Command? How comfortable do you feel with it right now? See, Eric, let me jump over to you. I know some people might just be listening.
I'm fairly comfortable with it. It's a good way to manage contacts. Like it's everything everything you need to do that. But I'm sure in Command there's plenty of features I haven't used before or I'm not familiar with. So.
Okay, great. Victoria, how about you?
I'm fairly comfortable with it. I just kind of poke around for, if I get stuck on something, but there's some great videos. So yeah, I have my smart plans and stuff set up and the different leads from Facebook and whatnot. So
great.
Yeah, seems
great.
Pretty good.
Good. Gavin, how about you? I know you're in the car. Sorry. Let me go to Keith. Keith, are you using?
I'm back.
Oh,
maybe.
Gavin's back. Sorry. All right, Gavin, we'll come back. Sorry. How do you feel about Command? How are you using Command? How comfortable are you with it?
For the most part, I'm just using it to manage the opportunities, whether it's buy offers and sell offers, and just Command and DocuSign type of thing.
Okay.
I haven't been using it for CRM or what's it called, or for marketing. I tried it a little bit and I couldn't get the feel of it that well, so I kind of moved on to just making dials with a system called Phone Burner.
Okay, Great, good information. Keith, how about you?
I hate to admit it, but I'm really not using it. I'm pretty much retired and just coming back into it. It's the reason I'm here today. But a lot of the things that I've done have been done with MailChimp for my marketing, more to commercial agents around the country.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Sonia, how about you?
Well, I guess I kind of agree with Gavin. I've used it for opportunities, but not really much more than that.
All right, Dan.
Hi. Yeah, I'm getting used to everything else on the command. One concern I have is the opportunity as well. I feel like it's like too many steps and make it harder and take longer for prepare the documents from DocuSign and stuff. So I wish there's an easy way to do that.
Okay, good.
And also, I hope there's some way you can create a portal for your client. You know, everything now all the clients like visually view the things, and they don't want to read a lot of information unless they're interested into it, right? So I'm hoping getting something from that. Maybe it'll be Casey's.
Yeah. Or maybe when we talk about the consumer app a little bit and how we can manage and modify the guides that are on there to keep your clients in track. That might be something too. So and that's something that's definitely coming up in Ignite as well. Good questions. Nancy, how about you?
I mean, I've kind of messed around with it. I think I've gotten the contact stuff down and done the smart plan and worked with some of the designs and the Facebook ads. So I've messed around with a lot of it. So I know there's a ton more to learn, obviously. But I'm pretty tech savvy when it comes to just messing around with stuff. So, I mean, I like it. I like that everything's kind of in one place.
Yes.
I just have to get all my other stuff into that one place.
Yes. I hear you. Ambika, how about you? Oh, Ambika, did you hear me? Sorry. Okay, let's go to Amy. Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I haven't been messing with it at all, to be honest.
Okay. That's okay. This is helpful. And I appreciate your guys' honesty on where you're at. And my challenge for you would be to wherever you're at in command throughout these next 20 sessions of Ignite to get yourself from where you are right now to feeling just a little bit more comfortable. 1% every day, 1% better in command, whether it be looking at something new or taking something that we talk about in Ignite and applying it. That's my challenge for you. So when you open your command into that home page, this is how mine is set up. Okay, if you want to customize your home page so that it looks differently, you can use this customize home. You can use that customize home button to select what you'd like to see on this home page. So you can see right now, I like seeing all of that stuff, so I keep it there. You can drag and remove, or excuse me, not remove, but you can move where you see them on your screen, and then you apply. So that's just kind of a little feature for anyone that's like a visual learner that wants to set that up differently, or you see things on there that you don't really want to see when you open up your homepage. That's where you would go ahead and make those changes. So a little bit on the applets here. Since some of you guys already are pretty comfortable, we've got our homepage. Can someone unmute themselves and tell me what this applet is for? Anybody? So this applet, you guys, is for your contacts.
Contacts.
So,
oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's okay. And it's hard because I can only see 6 of you right now. That's why I always go back from stopping the share. So we've got our contacts here. This is where you're managing your database. And this is, I'm going to stop here for a second because this is the one thing I did want to highlight today. So many of you know how to do this, but we're going to just review. In this contact applet, this is where you can add people to your database. So when I select add contact, okay, this is now where I'm gonna add add the new person that I've talked to. So if I add my dad in here and I put in his email address, okay, his phone number. So you're gonna add as much information as you can to this section. When you go here to tags, let's talk about this for a second. Tags is a way that you can filter and manage everybody in your database. And when you tag a person, you're giving them a label. So what I recommend is that I recommend you to have one label that everybody in your database has, so that if you want to send out a mass email to everyone in your database, that you can use that tag. So that's something that's really important, whether you tag them. So you can create a tag right in here. If I want to type in SOI for sphere of influence, I can create a custom tag. It says SOI, and I can even choose a color for it. And then I can choose add. So you can see now he's been tagged SOI. Now, let's say that I met him at an open house. We're pretending for a minute that. Maybe I want to tag him open house so that I know, and I already have that one created, so that I know. Guys, if you could do me a favor and get some background. I'm not sure where. If you can mute yourself, let me see. There we go. I got it. Okay. You can tag them a little bit more based on like where you met them. So here are some common tags that I want you to think about. Open house, seller, buyer, expired, for sale by owner, FSBO, Facebook lead, right? Sphere of influence. That's how, or then you can think about like if you have a whole group, and Keith, I'm thinking of you here, maybe you're thinking like golf club or country club, or you know, you're tagging that certain group so that if you just want to send an email, or if you just want to have a smart plan that only applies to your open house people and not everybody else in your database, then you can sort them out by the people with the open house tag, as opposed to when you want it to go to everybody in your sphere of influence. Okay, so that's why tags are important. When you go to this add more information and kind of scroll down, this is where you can add additional information. So primary address, okay, by adding that in, that's gonna ensure that you can assign them to a neighborhood, which is again something we'll talk about in this. Okay, in their about, if you know their birthday or their home anniversary of when they bought or sold with you, right? You're putting those things in here, adding that information, and then you're gonna hit create. Okay, and that contact then is automatically entered into your database. So if I go to one of my contacts, I want to show you, when you click on a contact, you can actually see the interactions that you've had. So with this contact, you can see that this contact is on a smart plan. And we'll talk about those later this week. You'll see that it automatically goes to this timeline. And the timeline here, if you scroll down, it'll show all the interaction that you've had with that contact in command, which I think is amazing, right? Because this really tracks how many times that you spoke with them, in what ways you spoke to them. And then you also have this note section. So for me, like if there was something special that I wanted to take note on, I was also able to make note of the date and what I wanted to remember. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you guys know that those are all features. And if I go back to my main list of contacts, I just want to show you one more thing about adding a bulk tag. So you'll see on your main page of contacts, as soon as this finishes loading, you'll see right here, it says show 1 to 10 of 930. If I do that, I can only work with 10 people at a time. So if I go down here to 50, now this is going to bring up 50 people in my database, okay? If I want to tag all of these people the same, so let's say you just made a tag for sphere of influence and you want to tag that to everybody in your database right now, because that's going to help you when you want to send out an email to everybody. So I'm going to come up here to this box and I'm going to select it. Oops, sorry, yep. I'm going to select that box and it's going to select all 50 people on this page. I can only go 50 at a time for right now. That's a command thing, not a Casey or our office thing. That's just what the rules are for right now. I'm going to go to this part that says select bulk action. I'm going to scroll down to add bulk tags. Okay. And from here, I'm going to start typing in the tag, right? I just made this with you guys, SOI. I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to submit it. I'm not going to submit it right now because it'll kind of mess up my plan. But if you hit submit, all 50 of those people will automatically be tagged with SOI. And then you could go to the next page and you could tag the next 50 by going back there and checking that box. Okay, so that's just something that I do want to make sure that we're all aware of in terms of the contacts and the tagging and things like that. So with that, just kind of doing a basic touch on these down to the side. If you hover over them, it'll tell you what they are. You'll get a task list, and throughout Ignite, we'll dive deeper into all of these sections. Today was more focused on contacts. Then after the task list, which shows up on your homepage, you've got this note paper with a little wheel or cog on it. These are your smart plans, which I'm so excited to talk to you guys about smart plans. We've got our referral network, so we will spend part of our time learning how to use this applet to help you build a referral network with other agents across not only the country, but in the world. We've got our opportunities tab. So this tab is going to be what we need to do to make our money, right? How we're going to keep our transactions organized, and talk about how you can use this to really keep track of people throughout your transaction. We've got our megaphone here, which is for campaigns. This is where we're gonna, Casey's really gonna dive in and talk even more about how to use social media to generate leads. Okay, in this section, we have our reports. So I feel like this is one that we are gonna touch on, but a lot of people don't look at, which is pretty cool, you guys. If you go to that reports, I'm not sure if you've done it before, but you can really go in and kind of see like where your database health is, which I think is cool. And then you can see like, all right, so 85% of the people in my database have a phone number, 89% have an email, 60% have an address, so 51% have neighborhoods, which kind of makes sense if I don't have their address, right? That number is going to be low. 1% have a home anniversary and 37% have birthdays. So I can kind of use this even as I'm reconnecting with people. You could even think about that as you're reaching out and making your calls. Hey, I'm just catching up on everybody's birthday and I realized I didn't have your birthday in my address book. I love sending out cards and making birthday calls. When's your birthday? Right? So that's something like an area of my database that's struggling. So I think it's cool, like I think we gloss over that report part a lot. And there's a lot of stuff that you can see here. So I think that's really cool. It tells you about the percentage of people that you reached out to in the last 30 days, in the last 31 to 60 days. So, I mean, this is pretty neat, the information here, and sometimes a little eye-opening too. So I would encourage you guys to go to that tab at some point this afternoon just to check it out. Then we've got our designs here. We'll talk about that also during Ignite. We've got a spot for listings, okay, talking about the KWLS. We've got insights here, talking about how you can write reviews. about places locally or all around that you visit, and put your name on that, so that when the consumer app is being used and somebody is looking for maybe their favorite Mexican restaurant, that they use the app, is what the concept is here. And Mexican restaurants come up, and it shows your face there as a realtor reviewing, making you look like the expert in the area. And then we've got landing pages. Okay, and again, Casey's gonna do a good job helping us out with some landing pages and the consumer app. So that's kind of our mini little command lesson for the day. I am gonna go back to our presentation here, just so that you guys can, so we can talk about what's in your Ignite toolkit. And if you could do me a favor, you guys, if you did not get the link, okay, the link to the online toolkit, please do me a favor, and in the comment box, just type in your name and email, and and my goal is to resend it to everybody anyway, and kind of put it up on our KWAS dialogue page on Facebook. And I think I should have everybody that was in class by the way we set this up. But basically, you guys will have a link, and everything will be available to you. You could take notes on it, and then you're also going to have access to like script books and things like that. So once you open that link, if you haven't looked at it yet, you're going to have resources, job aid kind of place for you to take notes on maybe any books or podcasts or things mentioned throughout Ignite that you want to remember. We have script books in there, so a variety of different scripts, a buyer lead sheet for gathering information during your buyer consultation, the 411, the plan your daily checklist. This is your success list for the day, previewing homes, pre-listing questionnaire, pre-listing packet, open house tools. So it's a toolkit of resources that I want to make sure that you guys all have access to. So again, yeah, I will send it out to everybody that was on this call after this afternoon. So Keith, I'll make sure that you get it too. Okay, so what's coming up in Ignite? Today we're talking about fueling your career. We've got lead generation, scripting, which is our powerful language, database and follow-up, setting goals that matter, delivering your value proposition, finding and winning the buyer, finding seller leads, a day in the life of a real estate agent, and then that is not, don't worry about the one that says market center specific. After a day in the life of the real estate agent, we're going to move over to elementals. We'll talk about prospecting, marketing, open houses, seller appointments, buyer consultations, how to make and receive offers, how to negotiate the deal, and financial basics. And in addition to this, we'll be talking about contracts and closing the deal throughout Ignite. So that's what's coming up in the next 20 sessions of Ignite. Now we're just going to talk a little bit about what the daily 10-4 looks like and how that looks a little different right now with us being virtual. So the goal of Ignite is every day that you're going to set up a success list for what do you do when we leave the Zoom room? What's next? What do I do to set up my day for the rest for success? And part of these activities are your daily 10-4. And one of the things that the goal of Ignite, so this is awesome, like even if you were already in Ignite and said, well, I already did this, the goal now is to double down and do it again. So we're looking to add 10 new contacts to your database every day for 5 days a week. So it's 50 contacts a week. Now think about that too. Think about vendors. Think about reaching out to those people at this time. If you haven't had a listing yet, but you want to find a trusted photographer, start making phone calls, right? Introducing yourself. This is the time to reach out, to talk to, people from Keller Mortgage and Movement Mortgage and inspectors and title companies. And this is the time for that, thinking about reaching out to True North and really, making a name for yourself. And you can use those people to add them into your database, in addition to other people maybe from social media or just people that that you don't have in command yet. Those people that you looked at on your phone, are they all in your command yet or not? Okay. Prospecting. So this is our making connections. With Ignite, we want to speak to 10 people a day in your database. So 10 people in your sphere. And you're using that phone. You all said it, right? We need to use our phone more. So I want you to reach out to 10 people today. I want you to work really hard on making some of those phone calls. All 10 would be great. However, I know there are some people that are going to respond to a text message, or they're going to respond to you on Facebook before they respond to a phone call. The important thing is that you're mixing it up and you're putting yourself out there to make some phone calls, to get over that limiting belief of they're not going to answer. They are. They want to hear from you. You're in each other's phones for a reason. Okay. Another thing we talk about in Ignite is follow-up. Writing 10 notes to people that you've recently contacted. I want to touch on this one because I know this one in the first round of Ignite, I just kind of heard sometimes like it was, the 10 a day was a lot in addition to doing all the other stuff. Here's what I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you, and I'd love it absolutely if you did 10 a day, but I want to step back and I want to set something like real realistic. How about 10 a week? Could you write 2 note cards a day? Especially for those of you that aren't doing it yet. We could all certainly write 2 note cards a day for 10 a week. And I'd love it if that's where we started. If you weren't writing cards at all, let's start with 2 note cards a day. And it's so powerful. And I know the people that did it last time and actually wrote the cards, you get that phone call or you get that text from somebody saying, oh my gosh, I just got your card in the mail. That was so amazing, right? We underestimate the value that a card has in people's lives. So I challenge you to 2 a day, 10 a week when we're looking at it in this aspect, okay? Absolutely, if you can do 10 a day, go for it. But I want to set a goal that I feel like we can all just attack and crush. Know your market. So preview 10 homes a week. I know that's a little different right now, right? Previewing 10 homes a week might not be super realistic going in person. What is realistic is getting on the MLS and finding a neighborhood that you want to be an expert in, looking up an address in that neighborhood, or looking up an area and reading the listing report, or watching the virtual tour that a lot of agents have put up right now, okay? So the limiting belief is, well, I can't go look at homes right now because of COVID. Actually, you can. It just looks different. So you're still going to preview 10 homes a week. You just might not be going there in person, okay? So finding those 10 on ARM list, zooming in on your neighborhood, really getting to know it, read the sheets, get familiar, look at the pictures, watch the tour. Gosh, if you had a question, call the listing agent. Say, I work with buyers in the area. We were just wondering this. Challenge yourself to do that. So it can still be done and it's still an expectation. And that's how we're really going to make the most of this, okay? So that's really talking about, before we do our recap, I just want to make sure that we're good about our success list. So the rest, I'm going to walk you through kind of the rest of this afternoon. When we're thinking about what Gary Keller says needs to be on our list, we've got to have lead gen, we've got to follow up, we've got to script and role play, negotiate deals, and go on appointments. So it's okay right now if you don't necessarily have something that you're negotiating, or you're not necessarily going on an appointment today. You can certainly make a phone call. You could schedule a Zoom appointment with a friend just to catch up, right? So don't think of appointments all the time necessarily as, well, I don't have a listing appointment, I don't have a buyer appointment. Okay, but I can set an appointment to have a Zoom coffee with a vendor or a Zoom coffee with a friend, right? So in this afternoon, we should be spending, I personally believe, an hour and a half at least on your lead gen, okay? Getting those 10 contacts in, doing your lead follow-up, checking up in command, adding those people to your database, tagging them, putting notes, script and role play. So you guys have the access to the comment box in here. Find this week, okay? By the end of this week, I want you to find a script and role play partner if you don't have one. And I want you to practice 30 minutes in the afternoon. Maybe 3 of those days are with a partner and 2 of them are on your own. Or 2 of them are with a partner and 3 of them are on your own. But make sure that some of them are with a partner, because it makes it more real. And it's a lot more valuable for you to practice with somebody, okay? And then adding into your success list, writing my 2 note cards, previewing, you could preview 2 homes a day. Okay, So that's really like, those are your big rocks. Always make sure those are your should do's, right? If you were in this before, those are your should do's. Anything else is a to do and can get done afterwards. If something comes up, right? The reality is right now, you've got kids at home, they're taking school, you have to pull yourself out to get them online. If you remove it, you need to replace it. Okay? So it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay, but those are the big rock non-negotiables that you want to have on those should-do lists every afternoon. Those are the success lists that are going to help us get to an appointment. All right? So let's just talk before, and I know I want to show you one thing, because I know we didn't get to it today. I kind of thought that might happen, but I want to show you. This is where I'm headed with the script and role play thing. Okay, so Wednesday and Thursday, this is the intention. I'm going to bring up an objection, and we're going to follow this pattern of, when an objection comes, we're going to acknowledge it, we're going to isolate it, we're going to address it, so we're going to kind of provide some education around it, and then we're going to close. So I'm giving you a preview. I'm going to bring this one back up on Wednesday. You can rehearse, you can practice, you can script play it with somebody. You're working with a buyer, and you're talking to them, and the buyer says, we don't know if it's really a good time to buy. Who knows what's going to happen? Okay. So what we mean by acknowledging it is just basically restating it. You know, I understand that you're not sure if right now is really a good time to buy. Isolating it. So other than just not really knowing the market and if it's an okay time to buy, is there anything else that's keeping you from buying? And then we're going to address it. And we're going to give them information. You know, would it be okay if I shared a little bit of information with you about what's happening in the market right now? Yeah? Okay. And then I'm going to tell it. I want us to go through this on Wednesday, so I'm not going to give the whole thing away. And then close. So how do you feel after, you know, what we talked about? Do you think you're ready to move forward with the buying process? Are you ready to set up an appointment, talk to a lender? So that's what we're going to take. Like, this is the format of how we're going to run like objection handling, script, and role play practice, which is why it's important that you guys are continuing to do like the full forward conversation scripts and other scripts that are provided to you in the toolkit in the afternoon. Okay. All right. So the last piece here, got a few minutes. Let's just talk about some ahas. So maybe just even from the start of Ignite this morning to right now, some things about maybe how you're thinking or mindset has changed, or what you feel differently about, what actions are you going to take, maybe what tools are you going to use differently. So I would love just to hear 3 people. I'm not going to make everybody share, but if I could hear 3 people kind of share out on some ahas or action steps or mindset, anything.
I'll go.
Thanks.
Okay. I feel reset. I feel like, yeah, I feel reset. I feel like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm super excited. And I didn't do Ignite the first time around this year. I had done it 2 times before that, but I'm very excited. I feel like I have like more focus, and that's it.
I love it. Thank you. 2 more people, please.
In my case, I think I need to work a lot on the scripts. That's one issue for me. And you were working on Command today. I've been using Command a lot for managing contacts, but I haven't been looking at the other areas. So that's would be a good idea for me to get more familiar with Command.
Love it. All right, one more.
Jacqie, I think it was just really good to refocus on, you know, the task and refocus on the steps to continue to move things forward. So it's always good just to get reminded of, here's the game plan, keep playing.
I love it. I love it. And I agree too. Like, it energized me this morning to get on the call with everybody and just see, like, I just want to tell you guys, I mean, you are, by showing up today and committing to this and sharing these things, like, your pipeline is going to be bigger and better than the people that are sitting at home and not taking action during this time. Continue to remind yourself of that. Really think about your why this afternoon too. And, if you have any questions or you want to talk through that, I love that stuff. I love all that stuff. So if you want to do that, you text me, call me, set up a Zoom with me, whatever you want. So one thing that I need to get better at is making sure the screen pops up at the end of every Ignite session, especially for all of the amazing agents that are coming after me so that we get this done. If you guys don't mind, before Kate jumps on, if you actually just open up your camera, you can actually hold it right up to the screen. It works on mine. If it doesn't work on yours, maybe just take a picture of it so that you could go to that surveymonkey.com. I'd really appreciate it. Our market center number is 280. So that would be the only thing that you need to know. This is helping us too, because it's collecting information from this being Ignite 2.0. You guys will see, those of you that were with us last time, you'll see that they've made some changes even since the last month and a half. So if you don't mind just doing that for us, I'd really appreciate it.
This video was brought to you by Keller Williams Arizona Realty TV. Please check out some of the other videos on our channel. Thank you.